All right. This one's a doozy. Sarah Manavis of New Statesman did an interesting story where she looked up to see what incels are up to in the age of the quarantine and coronavirus. And it turns out they're ecstatic. They're celebrating, well, not in the streets, but at home, where they usually are anyway. Well, that's what they say. She looked at different 4chan forums that where incels go, and Reddit subreddits as well, including Ford. Apparently, I didn't know that they got this specific. There's apparently a short incel community. I don't know if there's also a tall incel community. And if you're an old timer and you're wondering what the hell an incel is, if you've been living in a box, let me just tell you real quick. It's people who call themselves involuntarily celibate. I remember being young, and I don't remember a lot of vol cells going around. Weren't a lot of people voluntarily celibate, certainly not young guys. But they think they invented something new. Like, oh, did you know that we're involuntarily celibate? Yeah, dude, we all knew that. Anyway, and we've been there. I know you think we haven't, but we all have been there. Okay, so why are they celebrating? Because they hate it when the normies or the foids, they all have all these different code words for normal people, are out and about having fun, socializing, and most importantly, having sex. So now that normal people can't do that, they're psyched. So here's one quote. I would like to thank the person that ate a bat, and consequentially made roasties have, I guess roasties is another word for normal people, have mental breakdowns because they can't get ravaged by a Chad for weeks. Roasties is probably female normal people. Chad, I know, is the males who actually have sex from time to time. Stacy's, I believe, are the women. Yes, Stacy's are the women who have sex normally, and these are apparently terrible people. But the weird and amazing and inexplicable thing about incels is they're like, oh, these are terrible people because they're having sex. Would you like to have sex? Oh, we'd love to have sex. I think some of them are pretending like, oh, whatever, I kind of didn't want to have sex anyway. But then why are you involuntarily celibate? But I think the vast majority of the generally horrific incel community is acknowledges they would like to have sex, but they just can't. And so then there's this weird situation where they hate the Chads who have sex, and it appears at the same exact time are incredibly envious of them and would love to be a Chad. I hate the Chads. I mean, if I could be a Chad, I'd be a Chad in a second. But I hate them. So why do I say the incel community is horrific? Look, there's nothing wrong with being involuntarily celibate. Again, we've all been there. That's not the issue. The issue is that they have taken it in a terrible direction. Hatred of not only what they consider attractive and successful, sexually successful, and relationship successful men, but what is most worrisome is their loathing of women. And so if they didn't have that, who cares? Yeah, then I would sympathize with folks. Anyway, so because coronavirus is preventing other people from having fun in their lives, they are now calling, and when I say they, it's of course not all of them. It's whoever is in these chat lines, etc. I don't know if there's an incel community that does a lot of charity and is wonderful in other ways. I don't know. I haven't heard of it. Okay. But anyway, the folks that are online and saying awful things, some of them call coronavirus, quote, a gift from God. And another one called it Saint Coronavirus. And part of the reason they call it that is not only because it prevents people from mixing together and having sex, most importantly, but also because it will lead to, quote, normies dying. And hence the problem with that strand of the incel community. Again, I don't know that there is another strand, but that's the one that's usually out and about online. And so here's another quote. The fact that Chad and Stacy aren't getting to have promiscuous sex right now honestly makes me so happy. I'm telling you, there's something fascinating about the incel community in that they weirdly own how bitter and envious they are. And I appreciate the honesty, but then they're like, but then the Chads and the Stacys who we envy so much and we would die to be like them are the worst and we should hate them. Okay, I never understand that. I don't get it. Anyway, or maybe like the rest of us did, try to figure it out. And maybe you will figure it out. I figured it out eventually. It took me a long time, and a lot of people I know. That's called life, brother. Okay. Anyway, last two quotes here. They say Fords are making society way worse than coronavirus ever could. So these Chads and Stacys that are doing the fun things that we want to do, they're making society worse anyway. They're terrible. Slash, I want to be them so bad. And which leads us to the last quote, which I absolutely loved. One of them admits, though, at the end, quote, their lives are still 10 times more fulfilling than ours. That's true. Okay. But your life might be fulfilling, too, if you went out in the world. Not now, but once we get past coronavirus and you actually talk to, or maybe while you're at home, if you try to form meaningful relationships, not filled with hatred, envious, jealousy, and bitterness. Like if you reached out to people in a pleasant way, you might be surprised that they might return the pleasantness. If you reach out with hate, you shouldn't be surprised that they fear, hatred, loathing, etc. gets returned upon you. I don't know, just try a little variety. Try being nice to people. And by nice, I'm not being naive, okay, about men and women's relationships. I mean, be nice to everyone in the world, your mom, grandmas, etc., right? Your uncle. And then also see if you could be confident and nice at the same time. I think it's doable. And that people might eventually find that attractive instead of raging online about how much you hate women. I'll tell you this much. If you're looking to get laid and you're worried that you're involuntarily celibate, raging against women and threatening violence on them is the least successful path to ending your involuntary celibate nature status. Okay? That's just a fact. You do whatever you want with that fact. And anyway, me lecturing them about how they shouldn't do violence or talk about violence, probably not going to work. But now you know, incels are the only people in America, seemingly, that are thrilled with coronavirus and all this self-quarantining. It's a wild world out there. All right, the rest of us, stay safe. Don't forget, we got to keep all each other healthy. We also got to keep TYT healthy if you can in these hard times. TYT.com/go makes a giant difference. So please participate in that. All right, thank you.